Uh, there we go. Good. You're on.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I was just checking to see if we were live. I just wanted to say hi to everyone that's on the platform this morning. We're on the Voices of Men 360 Father's Day celebration. My name is Alethea Cador. I'm a psychotherapist located in Toronto, and my business is Minds I Like. I wanted to center and discuss what we are going to be talking about today. And I know that people have said, hey, last week was Father's Week, but we do not stop on this space celebrating and honoring the contributions of fathers and the impact they have made in our lives. So I wanted to quickly go to the left of my panel here and introduce everyone, and then we'll get into the show. So to the left of me is Jivia. And if you'd like to just say hi and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jiva Sam.
And Dipchand, how are you?
And I'm happy to be part of this esteemed panel and hope we have a wonderful session. Thank you.
And Clarence, nice to see you again.
Uh, yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clarence Winter. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, on the western part of Canada, and co-founder of the Calgary Black Chambers Society, and feel privileged to be on this panel this morning.
Wonderful, and thank you. And I know that we heard from Sivam, and it looks like we have one more person joining us. I see them coming on slowly. Hi, just in time. We were just introducing the panel, and if you'd like to just introduce yourself.
Yes, hi. Good evening. I'm from the Philippines and it was nice to meet and etch everyone that's promoting men's rights and of course how important the fathers in our lives and in our society. And it's really an honor to for me to be part of this what you call the webinar or just like a virtual conversation. Yeah, so going back, I'm Zen Lee, Beyonce from the Philippines. I founded the Men Courage Philippines. Basically, it is the I created that for support of boys and men here for Filipino boys and men, and of course to all the fathers who need support from from their experiences, from the parental alienation situation, and to all their rights. And yeah, so I'm looking forward for whatever is going to happen in our conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach Zen. That was really welcoming and very supportive. Appreciate it.
Thank
So we're
you.
going to get right into the discussion. And, this is a platform where we're going to talk about, those dedicated fathers, the biological fathers, the stepfathers, the fathers that played that very important role, whether they were in the forefront or behind the scenes, coaching and mentoring us as we grow and thrive. So I wanted to hear from Jivan in terms of your role and your understanding of that role as a father. How do you find fathers play that impact and that important role within their family?
Well, fathers, I believe, are vital to the family unit, and I was blessed to have a father in my life right from the time I was born. He's 92 years old now, and I'm 65. So he's still there for me. Sadly, my mom's not with us, but they spent 60 years of married life together. So model something very stable in their lives. And like last Sunday at our church, our pastor asked me to actually deliver the message. And so my title was The Model Father. And really, I come from a Christian perspective. So in the whole thesis was that the model father fathers the Heavenly Father. And so some of the things that we stressed were a father is a husband first before being a father. And so, you may have heard the saying, the best gift a man can give his children is to love their mother. And so to me, like, that's a very important part. The second thing we talked about was disciplining. But what I really wanted to share today was actually how my father impacted my life all the way through. And a lot of it didn't really have to do with what he sat down and taught me, on his knee or with a cane or however else that happened. But just his example. And so I'm just going to share two memories. One of the memories is when I think I was somewhere between 8 and 10 years old. I was taking organ lessons back in India on the pump organ, and I was playing a song at a service or recital. I'm not sure what the occasion was, but it was held in a church. And I'm of course, like any kid, you're looking for your parents to be there. My mom was there, and my rest of my family was there. But my dad was out of town that day, and he had said that he would do his best to come. And I couldn't see him in the audience when I looked around because he wasn't sitting with us. But when I went up to play, I looked up, at the notes, and all of a sudden I saw my father. He was right at the door. He had just come in. He came just in time. And what I found out later on, at a time when you had to rely on public transportation only, he had taken a couple of different buses just to make it there, about an hour and a half to 2 hour travel time. And that really left an impression upon me. That my father would, first of all, care for me that much, that he would be there. He was a very, very busy man. And secondly, that he would keep his word. The second memory that I have happened a little bit later in life. I was probably about 21, 22 years old. I was returning to Ontario after doing a summer internship in Regina. And on the way back, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember cassette tapes. I had a cassette player in my car. And I was changing the cassettes, and in that one split second, I took my eyes off the road. I'm driving through Northern Ontario. As you know, the roads are pretty windy there, and I end up in the ditch. Totaled the car. Thankfully, I was not hurt. So I had to take a plane from Thunder Bay back home. My parents were living near Kingston at the time. And I still remember the next day we were supposed to go to the insurance company and get things settled. And when we walked to the garage, my dad handed me the keys to his car. And I'm thinking, Dad, are you sure? I just messed up. Can't you tell? And you're trusting me with your car. And that really left an impression upon me, that he still saw me as a competent driver. Yes, I had a momentary lapse and did end up causing some damage. However, the confidence my dad had in me as his son is something else that stuck with me. And so my message today is, we model what fatherhood is like by the way in which we treat our children. And so when we convey to our children the fact that we love them, we care for them, we keep our word to them, and we forgive them, when they've made mistakes, and we let them know that we have confidence in them. I think that is a great legacy that we can leave our children. My father left that for me, and I hope in some way that our 3 married children, adult children, also have received some of that from me in return. So that's basically what I want to share today, Alithia.
What a wonderful story, I just see the consistency and the persistence, and his own determination left a really good example for you to pass on to your children. And it's so cool because my dad taught me how to drive too. So I think that's great that we have that special interest. So I'll pass it on to Dikshant in terms of, how did you find your father left an impact on you?
Well, my dad was really old school. He's no longer with us. Neither is my mom. But they left a deep and lasting impression on me. You learn by example. A lot of times, people or adults rather don't realize that when they do things in the presence of children, they don't realize that the kids are picking up on what they're doing. And so the thing is with my parents, they led by example. They set that stage so that we can follow as children. They were always forthright, and they use a lot of tact, obviously, the way they carry out themselves. My dad had this mantra he preached every day, every morning, like a prayer, he would say. There are a couple of things I want to tell you kids, and one is do not steal, do not take anything from anyone that does not belong to you. If you want something that I don't have or can't provide, let me know and I'll try my best to get it. But do not take anything from anyone. And the second thing he said is pay all your debts. If you take anything from anyone, be sure, don't let them ask you, go back and make sure you fulfill your obligations. He was a farmer. We grew cocoa and coffee and things like that. And he took tremendous pride in his work. He tried to get me involved, but I couldn't. There was no way I was going to be part of that. And he had given me a part of the estate, and he said something that made a significant impact on me. I said to him, Dad, at the time I had a government job, and I said to him, Dad, I won't be doing this. And he said, the reason I'm showing you the ropes, like he took me and showed me how to trim the trees and prepare them for production and whatnot, fertilization, all these different aspects. And he said, no, I understand that this is not something you plan on doing long term. However, if you know what the things are, if you know the correct way to do things, if you hire somebody to do it, then you can tell whether or not they're doing a good job. And so that made an impact on me. And I thought, you have a really good point there. He lived here for a number of years, but his love for his passion for his work was so great that he went back home to Trinidad. That's where I'm from originally. And he just lived out his life there. Even in his old days, when he could hardly stand, he would just get up and walk through the field just to make sure that he's sort of part and parcel of it. He lived and breathed that. So I take that from him, that passion, the drive to really put in the effort towards what you wanted in life. And my mom, well, she was hardly 5 feet tall, but you couldn't tell by the way she went around. We were 11 siblings, and we didn't have electricity or anything like that, no TV, anything, while we grew up. But she just, it didn't matter to her. She had all the meals ready on time. It was a traditional relationship. She was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was obviously bringing in the bacon, but she did everything to perfection. And then sometimes my dad being a hardliner, and so we would be a little scared to go to him to ask for anything. So she normally would go to bat for us. So, we got some of the things we wanted through her. So somebody I would admire to my dying day, she was illiterate. And she told my dad once, because most of my siblings live here. And when she told my dad said, but you can't read and write. She said, I'm going to see my kids. There's nothing going to stop me. And she left, she took a flight and she came here and everything and got through safely with, when nobody thought she could do it. She found her suitcase. She had a way to mark her suitcase. She couldn't read, but she put a tag on it in a certain color, whatever. She did all the things that she needed to do to make sure everything ran smoothly. So there's a lot of improvisation, a lot of dedication, a lot of anything you can think about that parents should instill on children that they brought to me and my siblings. So I am deeply and forever appreciative of the both of them.
Very, Very powerful. Oh, an amazing story of, how we can just manage with the skills and the abilities that we have, and we could still do so well with those resources. That's so amazing. Is Clarence still here, or has he stepped out? I don't see him. So I'll just continue with Coach Zen, and then we'll have Jerry and Jen share a few words.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I can say that I'm a daddy's girl. Yes, we're very, very close, and for me, he's the best father, and that's why I'm here, to share my story about him, about our bonding. It's like we're just like best friends. And the one thing I've learned from my father, one thing that he taught me is to be resilient, like, the ability to bounce back. Because my father is like, he's a true warrior. Like, he experienced a lot of things in life. I saw it, I witnessed it, and he even left the Philippines to work outside. And he sacrificed for almost like 7 years to give us um, the right education to provide for us. So I saw his sacrifices. I saw how he loved his family. I saw how he protect the family, even in this long distance. And even I, I finished my college without him, but of course, he's still part of our life in just like chatting way back before. It's still difficult, right? It was 2008. It was really difficult to contact, to have a communication. But now, a lot of like daughters like me are very, lucky to have the kind of, internet connection, because the technology is fast and progressive compared to like 10 years ago. So it's really challenging. And the one thing that I really can't remember is like when I had so many like setback in my life. So he was there all the time. I never, I mean, I never remember that when I had some troubles in my life or challenges, he was not present, because he really knows, because he knows my behavior, my pattern. If something is going on with my mind, if I am sad or something happened, he knows already. He don't need to ask me. So he would just offer me, okay, do you want to go outside? Would you like to go for a walk? Would you like to just grab some coffee and eat? So I don't need to say anything, but just my word, just my, my gesture, my being quiet, because here, and they know in the family that I'm very like talkative, very loud. But suddenly when I have some stress in life, or when I have some challenges, I become so quiet, just locking myself in room, try to reflect and process things. But my dad will just message me, okay, let's go outside, what do you want, let's go have, like, let's buy some chocolates or something. He knows what are the things that make me relax and happy. And I really appreciate my father, because I will never be um putting up my support group or the nonprofit organization because of him. And to all the fathers um out there, you have unfair treatment from the law and from the society. And of course, what I have witnessed from my dad, like, they need to be celebrated not just on the Father's Day celebration. It's every day. We need to celebrate our father who gave everything that they can give. Sometimes they're pushing their limits so that they can give us education, a house, and food. Even they have to sacrifice for themselves. And yes, I'm happy that I shared in my life about my dad, and I will never trade anything. I just want to see my father happy and healthy, and that would make my life happy too. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Dan. That was an amazing story of resilience, having resources, and be able to really understand your children and how to tap into them to give them the
Yeah.
support that they need. That is amazing. I love that. And I noticed that Jen, is she available? I know she wanted to share some of her thoughts, and then I'm going to go on to Jerry. So, Jen, when you're ready, let me know.
Jen, are you able to hear, talk? Hello, Jen? Okay, maybe you can go to Jerry, though. You can come back to Jen.
Okay, thanks, Evam. So I'll come back to Jen. I'm sure she's listening in and she will share her thoughts soon. And hey, Jerry, good to see you. If you don't mind introducing yourself and just going right into the question of how did your dad make an impact on your life?
Well, thank you, firstly, for having me here today. I'm the youngest of four boys. I'm 58, and my oldest brother is 62. And we are so fortunate still to have our father. So this past weekend, Father's Day, myself and my three older brothers were able to spend the weekend with my dad. So it's always an incredible opportunity to be this stage of my life and still have my father, that influence. And I've always told people about my dad. He was always a man of few words, but the words he spoke resonated and meant something. And he was an incredibly hardworking man. He worked 5 days a week and almost every Saturday as well. So from just a physical point of view, he wasn't around a lot early on because he was working. He was taking care of things. And I'm from Northern Ontario originally in Canada. So we had 6 months of winter and hot summers. And my dad was a mechanic, and it was a very physical job. He would come home every day and his hands were just covered in grease and they were cracked and they were sore and he was tired. But he always made time for us. And the incredible thing about my father, what he taught me was responsibility, that you took care of your responsibilities. My mom was an incredible lady. She, unfortunately, the good Lord's taken her home. But they worked incredibly hard with the means that they had. And my father taught me two incredible things that I have now taken to my family. I've been married now to my childhood sweetheart. We've been married over 30 years, and we have 4 children of our own. I have 3 sons who are 30, 27, and 25, and I have a 22-year-old daughter. And the two incredible things that my father taught me that I've actually been able to use and make an impact in my family's life. The first one is that I was raised in a strong Christian environment. Faith was everything to our family. And so that was the cornerstone of our moral fiber, is that it was our faith. And what it gave me over the years, and it's what's given my kids, is a foundation of what's right and wrong and being part of that community. And the second thing is that my dad taught me to be a positive influence in my kids' lives. And basically being involved in those important moments of their lives. And I will tell you, there was times where if we had a graduation or we had a game or a holiday, I don't know how my dad did it, but he always seemed to show up for those moments, those special moments in our life. And as a son, you were always waiting for him to enter or come into your life in those special moments. And for whatever reason, or not for whatever reason, but he always made those moments special in our lives. And so myself personally, I've been able to do those things. And one of the things that my dad always said, and which I've put into my life, he says, make sure you know what's important in your kids' lives and make that important in your lives. And it doesn't make a difference if it was art or if it was sports or if it was writing. Make that one of your interests so that you would have something in common with your child, something in common with them that you two would have together. And I look back at my own personal life now with my own kids. My kids, my boys, they like sports, and we'd watch the Olympics together. And one of my sons now lives in Vancouver. And I remember in 2010 watching the Olympics here in Canada. And then a couple of years ago, my son and I, when I was out visiting, went to all those locations that we watched on TV to relive those moments together. You know, just to have something in common. And I have this incredible relationship with all my kids now. And then my daughter, she was always watched this show, was called Say Yes to the Dress. I don't know if anybody's ever saw it. And so I remember my wife and I and my daughter being in New York City a couple of years ago, going to that actual location and getting our pictures taken there, reliving those moments, letting her know that those moments in her life were important to me as well too. And going to, we'd watch a show called Cake Boss. I don't know if anybody ever saw that. Then we actually went to that store and had cannolis and all that. So, and that was one of the incredible things that my father taught me, and my mom as well, is that if you get involved with your kids' lives, you have something in common, something to share with them, not just during that time, for years and years, these memories that you create. So it was also incredible. And before I finish up here, I'll tell people my oldest son, who's 30 years old now, is profoundly deaf and he's autistic. Academically, he operates at a grade 1-2 level. And because of my father's influence of being non-judgmental, and you love and believe that whatever you're given in your life is a blessing from the Lord, that when my son came into our lives, we never treated him less than anything but exceptional. And because of that influence, the impact he's made on the lives of my other children is just absolutely foundational. So in my life, like I said, my dad was a man of few words, but he walked the walk. He just didn't talk the talk. He walked the walk. And we knew we were loved. And it was an incredible thing. So like I said, it's an incredible blessing still to have him in my life. But to see his influence come through me into the lives of my children, and knowing right well that they're going to take those same experiences. So my father's existence and what he was, the ripple effects of his life will go through generations to come in my family. I appreciate you having me here and let me share that these incredible experiences I've had with my father.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, so well-rounded, and really looked at, you know, just the definition from, you know, a Christian perspective, which is the reality for most of us here growing up in this part of the world. And he lived by example. That's amazing. Oh, hi, Jen. I see you. We're ready for you. And I'd really like for you to introduce yourself and then just share your words and thoughts on the topic.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. I apologize for being tardy. We are educating some young youth today about human trafficking and online exploitation. So my name is Jan Edwards, and I'm the president and founder of Paving the Way Foundation. And really who we are is we empower communities to be a fierce disruption in the cycle of child trafficking and online exploitation. And we do that through education and training programs like the one we're finishing up today. So I love the fact that we're talking about dads for a couple of reasons. If I talk about mine, I'm going to start crying. So I might leave that to the last. The role today, now more than ever, is such an important piece of what our fathers play in our children's lives. They are the guide star. They are the ones that help mold particular things for young men, along with particular things for young women. They teach us females how to be treated by not only men, but also women. And, you know, our kids are really challenged right now, and they don't know quite how to language what's happening to them. So to be able to have a soft place to land with their father, for their father to let them know that it's okay. I've got you. We've got this. We'll work it out. I may not have all the answers, you know, as a parent or as a father, and we'll work it out together. That statement right there can alter a young person's life. And I think that's one of the beauty, really it's the beautiful thing that men provide out in the world, is that sense of safety for everyone, both male children and female children. So I just love the fact that we're having this conversation. Okay, now I'm present so I won't cry. My dad was a remarkable man. He was a Navy pilot. He joined the Navy before he was 18, right? Way back when. And ended up becoming a pilot solely because he did a favor for someone. That someone put an application for flight school on his desk in Chicago. It was in the middle of Chicago. And that was one of the gifts my dad passed on to me, was not a quid pro quo. You do something for someone and expect something back. You do the right thing, and good things come back around to you. It may not be directly from that person, but good things always will come back around to you when we do the right thing. My dad was an extraordinary dresser. His closet was bigger than my mom's. So he's the one that taught me how to dress. You know, he's the one that took me shopping. And I remember one of the speakers saying something about her dad always knew when she wasn't, you know, feeling right or a little off or sad. And I remember back when I was 18, I'd come home for college for the holiday, and one of my friends sadly had taken his life, not intentionally. He shot himself and ended up passing away. And I went to his funeral, and I was so devastated by it, because he was just a great kid and just really struggling, and took an action that sadly ended his life. And I remember sitting on the couch, I was just so morose. And my dad's like, come on, get dressed. We're going shopping. I'm like, he knew that he had to get me out of my head. He knew he had to get me out into the world to be okay. And that was one of the things my dad was always about. He always wanted to make sure we were okay. He didn't like it when people were sick. He made sure you got better quick, because he just didn't like it. And I would say the other gift that my dad gave me that I love, everybody's like, what the gift your parents gave you that continue to give, right? And this particular gift was, there's an old saying from Stephen Covey. I think it's Stephen Covey. You know, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's off that same thing, because we always talked about reputation. And he said, you know, Jan, it's important that people know who you are. He goes, but it's more important that you know who people are, right? And who knows you. So reputation management, I have always maintained a very high level of integrity out in the business world, and managing who I'm being out in the world. And how that played out today, I was at Starbucks today, getting some coffee before my event. And there were these two young ladies in front of me that by any means, anyone else, their reaction would not have been what mine was. You know, tattoos, piercings, all the things that people make stuff up about. And one of the girls had ordered a drink, and at Starbucks, they put all the stuff at the bottom, right? So you don't get the good stuff until it's like that much left. And she tipped it over and shook it. And I'm like, wait, that's something I can connect with her, right? And I leaned over and I said, I have never seen anybody do that. That's one of the smartest things I've ever seen anybody do. They both lit up. We had a short, brief conversation, and I know that itty-bitty interaction made their day, because I promise you they're judged all day long by how they look, right? And my dad was in the back of my brain, knowing we were going to have this conversation. I'm like, well, what would my dad do? Well, my dad would just have a conversation. My dad would just have a conversation, right? He would find something else out. So those are the gifts that my dad gave me, and I just truly appreciate you giving me the opportunity to have that conversation today.
Wow, Jen, I really like that. The fact that no matter who it is, you always start that conversation, because you just never know how you can make that impact on someone's day. And yeah, of course, I mean, what a great trick. I never thought of that myself. Maybe that's why the hole is so small on the top on the Starbucks cup, so you can actually do that. So that's pretty cool. And, I thought I saw Clarence, and I don't know what's happening. So we'll just see if he's going to pop back in. But this is the part where we're going to talk about our wow factor. And our wow factor is the words of wisdom. So I think I heard so many amazing things that describe what fathers do, the persistence and the determination, and teaching resilience and humility and kindness. And, there's the consistency, even though sometimes it could be a little bit strict, but sometimes we need that, right? So we know the path and the way that we need to grow. And I think Jerry talked about that in just instilling some of those key elements that you see that have helped you, and you're passing that on to your children. And I think Coach Zen had also mentioned that. So I thought we can wait a little bit for Clarence, but if not, how about if we take a couple of minutes just to clear that space and think about what your wow factor was. What are those words of wisdom that you can pass on to the next generation, those next generation of fathers or sons or people that are thinking about becoming parents that really helped you on your pathway to success? So how about if we start with Coach Jen, and then we'll go across to Jen, and then I'll connect with Jerry and Dipshot. So Coach Zen, what's your wow factor, your words of wisdom?
I think we lost her, so you can start with Jan though.
Jen? Yeah, your words
Okay,
of
hi. I'm still here, and I'm going to need to go in just a couple minutes. So my wow factor, my words of wisdom. This may sound superficial, but it's always stayed with me. And my dad taught me you can never overdress. Now, granted, if you show up to a business meeting in an evening gown or a tuxedo, you could be overdressing. However, people really do look at when you walk into a room, how you carry yourself, how you hold yourself, and what you have on. And for men, the tip that my dad always used to have me look at, and same with another friend of mine, was a man's shoes. He could have an average pair of pants on, an average jacket, an average shirt. He had nice shoes on. You knew there was something about that guy. So how you bring yourself into the world can really make a difference on how people are actually willing to listen to you. And when you bring the kindness and the love and the compassion, how you're dressed kind of takes away some of those preconceived notions. I'm a very powerful person. I can walk into a room and the conversations will stop, right? It's just weird. And so knowing who you are when you're out in the world and the responsibility that carries makes a huge difference. So having your way of being match your outer, match where you're walking into, can make all the difference in the world for you. When you walk in like who you are is confident, whether you are or not, there are days when I walk in and I'm nervous as all get out, and my knees are shaking and all that stuff. But if I walk in like, no, I got this, the level of confidence that you can bring into the world, that's probably the biggest wow factor my dad ever gave me. I love you all. I have to go. We're going to go make a difference with young people. Thank you for inviting me to be on this call. And y'all see you later.
Wow, thanks, Jen. All the best with what you're doing. And okay, so we'll go on to Dipchand. What's your wow factor, those words of wisdom that you take and apply that to the next generation?
With support in the sense, especially people have this perception, if you support somebody who's in the wrong, that something wrong with you. Why are you leaning on X, Y, or Z because of what he or she did? And the idea here is not supporting in the sense that you're not condoning what the person did, but you're supporting in the context of the circumstances under which they did what they did. So it's important to make that distinction. And I think people should not just turn away from someone because they're considered a pariah or something, they did something wrong. You should look to support that person in the way that would be beneficial not only to the person, but to society at large. And that's what I would pass down to everybody underneath me.
Very powerful. I really like that. Gave me a lot of insight. So, hey, I noticed that everyone had some other technical difficulties there because a lot of people have dropped off. But why don't we just wrap it up, or should I wait a couple minutes, Evan? What do you think?
sorry. Yeah, we can close because it's already past 11, and we originally planned for 45 minutes, but we had technical issues with other platforms, so we can close this one. Really, yeah.
Hey, so thanks, Shivam. It was great. And hey, you heard it here. Some amazing stories about how fathers have made an impact in their life, whether it was something small or something large. We took those elements and we incorporated it into our own being, our own self awareness, which helps us grow and thrive and also respect the foundation of which we came. So we want to say thank you for fathers. And I think someone had said it on the platform. It's not just celebrating one day out of the year. We're honoring and celebrating fathers every day. And we want to just say thank you to our fathers out there.
Yeah, thanks a lot to every one of you. Sorry for the inconvenience that happened earlier on the other platform, Instagram. So I know we had only a few of them. Some of them they couldn't join, but yeah, we had a great conversation too. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Take care. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Enjoy your day. Happy Father's Day.
You as well. Thanks.
Continue celebrating and honoring fathers.
Absolutely.